Donald Arthur Summers is my name. I was born in Owasso, May 22nd, 1933. My dad's name was William Arthur Summers. My mother's name was Nola May, maiden name McGill Summers. I had one brother 2 years younger than myself. I don't know just when we moved to Osage County, but Dad worked on the railroad. I went to school at Hurd, Oklahoma. Just went to 6th grade. It was a sandstone building, and it had a hickory nut tree right out the front door. The old schoolhouse is still there. However, the roof has caved in. There was a water hole down by the tracks, railroad tracks, and my brother and I, we didn't have nobody to play with. It was just him and I, and we went down there by the tracks to swim a little bit. We had to make our fun. That's what it was all about. Marbles or stilts or whatever. One day we got we'd heard about rubby-dub-dub, 3 men in a tub. We took one of Mom's wash tubs that she washed our clothes in, and we took that down there to that little little body of water that amount to a hill of beans is there close to the railroad tracks. And we decided we'd reenact the rubby-dub-dub, 3 men in a tub. And we got in there, and that thing turned over, and we got, sopping wet and mud, and went home dripping, and Mom said, "What in the world is going on here?" And we had to tell her we were down there with one of her tubs. Dad had an old car. He'd take the battery out of that thing on Saturday night, and we had a radio that would play on that car battery. Of course, it was just 6 volts, back then. And we'd listen to the Grand Ole Opry on Saturday night. That was always a plus. Back then, during the war, they had ration stamps, but back then they had them red inner tubes, and when they got blowout or something like that, and you couldn't use them anymore. They were great for making beanie flips. We made kites, fly them kites.
What'd you make your kites out of?
Newspaper or monkey ward or Sears and Roebuck catalogs. Just use flour and water and make a paste, and then of course cut the little boards and out of sticks of some kind, and I've walked, I don't know, probably, being honest about it, probably 100 miles, maybe more, 200, I don't know, on stilts. We used to make our own stilts and walk. They had oil in cans back then, and you could stomp on them, and they would curl around your shoes, and they clamp on your shoes, and you could walk or clobber around. And of course, then we played on the cattle cars. They had cattle cars parked there close to the place, and we'd go over and climb on those cattle cars. I didn't need no shoes until I, started going to school. When we did get shoes, new shoes, well, back then they had a knife pocket down on the side of the shoe, and when you got a new pair of shoes, well, you got a knife in there with it. I'll tell you what, that was a big deal. We lived north of Sunset Lake, but we'd go from where we lived over and hit Highway 60 and go to Bartlesville once a month or so and buy a few groceries. Pawhuskee was really a laid-back town, you know. I like to go to Bartlesville better because, well, for one thing, I got an ice cream cone. Every time we went, they had a place called Crystal Creamery. And Dad always stop and get us one nickel ice cream cones. And there was a store at Big Heart. They served as a grocery store, the filling station. Back then they had you had to pump the gas up into the container, and it gravity fed down in your car. They had a candy counter where you could go up there and pick out an old jawbreaker or sucker or something. I just thought I was living normal until we moved to Owasso. We moved to Owasso in '43, and we moved into a house that had a well right in the front door, and it had the gas lights. A little pipe come down from in the center of the ceiling, and it had little globes on it. And I had never seen anything like that. I remember those lights, how they could light up a room. They had little wicks, you know, and you'd turn on the gas and then get you a match and light them. And back then, you know, they didn't have no steam locomotive or no diesel locomotive. Everything was steam. And them engineers, they'd get them wheels just barely turning, and then all of a sudden they'd give it to steam, and them big drivers would just start spinning. They'd get up the track a little ways, and then they'd blow that steam out, come out both sides. It was tough times. People didn't have money to go everywhere, and they just, when they went somewhere, they went to see their kinfolks. We didn't have nothing. We didn't have anything, but we loved each other.